Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Porterverse Workbench. Today, we are going to be covering a character that I've been teasing for quite some time now. Here is Arthur. Arthur is a character that has, Porter in a sense. I've talked about him in his video. Basically, since that Arthur is a character that first appeared in a fairly solid season of the TV series, popped up here and there afterwards, got a little beefing up later down the line, and I was eventually never seen again following a major transitional period for the show, whether it be CGI or the full-on reboot. Now it's basically up to us fans to keep the legend alive. You may notice when looking at this model of Arthur that he is a bit different from most interpretations of him. I should dive into that now. So let's dive into the Porterverse backstory of Arthur. Here we go. Arthur is one of the 130 LMS-2MT tank engines built. Which one exactly? No one really knows. However, it is believed that he was built after nationalization and wore BR Black for most of his service life. Arthur was withdrawn from service in the late 60s. And around the same time as Arthur's withdrawal from service, the northwestern region of British Railways was in the middle of separating from British Railways entirely. And a deal was being worked out where a handful of various engines of British Railways would be transferred over to the reborn Northwestern Railway. Arthur was actually chosen by Sir Tom Hatt himself, and was the first of these engines to arrive in 1968. Shortly after arriving, Arthur requested a repaint. He had grown rather sick and tired of wearing the boring British Railways black, and wanted to honor his LMS roots, as he was an LMS design. The condition was that the lettering of it would be that of his new home, the Northwestern Railway. This would become the precedent for all engines work lettering on the Northwestern Railway. Arthur would enter service on the Northwestern Railway in January of 1969, wearing LMS maroon with Northwestern Railway lettering. He was assigned to the freshly built Harwick branch line. Arthur would run the line solo until Ryan joined him in the late 70s. Today, Arthur still runs the Harwick branch line with Ryan, and absolutely loves his life on Sodor. And he wouldn't have it any other way. Arthur's model was very easy to make, as just an old Bachmann 2MT from Hattons, repainted. Rest in peace, Hattons. After the model arrived, I took the body shell off the chassis and prepared it for painting. I primed the body in a gray acrylic. After the primer dried for a full day, I went in with Apple Barrel Barn Red for the base color. I find that this color actually better resembles LMS Maroon, and I didn't want to do just bright red or anything, as it looked too similar to James. I brushed on each coat of paint by hand. Usually I do around 3, maybe 4 coats if needed, but usually 3 is perfect. After another full day of drying, the next step was the lining. Traditional LMS Maroon livery has a two-tone red and black that's separated by yellow lining. I took some inspiration from the Unlucky Tugs model of Arthur, and mimicked the lining from there. Except the process was a little bit different. Instead of starting with the black, I actually started with the yellow. I made a fairly generous liner across the tanks, and after that dried, I did some touches with the red, and then I very carefully afterwards went on with the black, as the dark colors tend to cover up better. It was a very, very tedious process. I had to do this for pretty much almost every side of the tanks, cab, bunker, etc. And this all achieved the two-tone look. After the very tedious and nerve-wracking process that was that whole lining deal, I did the lettering. Believe it or not, I actually hand-painted the lining myself. How I achieved the lettering like this? Well, it's very simple. I used masking tape and actually the rivets that were molded onto the body as a guide to make sure the tape was straight. And I used that and made just a little strip gap for me to paint. And then I carefully wrote out the letters with toothpicks for each letter. And after they dried, I very slowly and carefully peeled off the masking tape, and did a few touches here and there with a toothpick and the red paint again, thus achieving the neat NWR on the sides. This was also repeated for the other side of the model. After the whole ordeal with the lettering and lining, came various details with metallic sharpies, and a little bit of paint here and there. And after I glued on the megaphone into the window, I gave the model a matte clear coat. And after that whole massive process, Arthur was finally done. I am really proud of how he turned out. He just fits so well to the collection, you know? I'm also really proud of how the color turned out as well. I was surprised at how well the Apple Bond Red resembles LMS Maroon. I also would like to take this time to say thank you for the crazy response on the livery special. Thank you all for watching this episode of the Porterverse Workbench, and I shall see you all same time next week.